Welcome back to the Super Design Bowl. I've got two very special guests to introduce you to. First, we're going to talk to Frasier Davidson. How's it going, Frasier?
Yeah, good. Thanks, mate. How are you?
Anything to report?
No, summer. It's September the 6th or something. So summer's arrived in the UK. It's exciting for us.
7th, but close enough.
7th.
And a very special guest, long-awaited, much-demanded guest, Mark Brickey. How you doing, Mark?
What's up, Billy? Feels good to be back. Football's back. Baumann and Brickey are back. Special guest, Frasier Davidson. Subscribe, smash like down below.
Actually, I have the exact opposite message. This is a secret between you and whoever's watching. Don't like it. Don't subscribe. Don't tell your friends. This is our secret. This is our special little place that I don't want to get out there. I don't want people to know we're doing this. We're just doing this for like 50 people, and that's how we're going to keep it. Okay?
There's that winner attitude that I love so much.
Yeah.
Keep it going, Billy. Keep it going.
I'm just anti-corporate. So if you're hoping that you're going to find out why I have not been on the AID podcast, which is Mark was from, if you don't know him, for years, this is not the place that we have time to talk about that. But and the only reason Mark is on this show now is because I was still waiting on him to invite me back on the AID, and it wasn't coming.
Oh,
so I guess I'll have to have him on my show.
That's not true. That's not true. You have an open invite anytime. You know that.
And well, waiting on that letterpressed invitation, and it's just never showed up.
If it's going to be letterpress, you're going to wait for a long time.
Okay, so Mark is new to this game. This is the show where we look a gift horse in the mouth, nice. Where we beggars can be choosers, where people do make free logos for us, and we get to harshly criticize them behind their back.
So
it's really punishment. Yeah. Okay, but before we get into that, this is sort of old business, old news, but I kind of a topic I want to talk to you guys about: Super Bowl logos. I think it's a well-known fact that in the design world, Super Bowl logos were kind of cool. Like it was always fun to see what logo was coming out, right? And I'm sure didn't Todd Radham do some of these?
Yeah, I know Todd did the Houston one. What's that? XVA 38 he did. I'm not sure.
I can't read Roman numerals. Yeah. And then in 2011 they went to this branded look, right? We're all aware. Which from a marketing standpoint, some marketer obviously came up with this idea because it's going to be easier to brand every year, and we're going to have a strong look that's going to carry out throughout the year, and it's going to build more brand awareness, all that kind of bullshit. But it's not fun at all. And I think I personally miss this era of logos where it was kind of new every year.
Yeah.
But what I want to bring up about this, even though I think that topic has been talked to death, the new Super Bowl was released last month, the new Super Bowl logo, and it's kind of getting back a little bit to where we were, a little bit. I still don't love the design, but I feel like if you look at the evolution of the logos, I feel like we're gonna get back there one day. Have you guys seen this?
Yeah, I mean, it's not though, is it? Like, it's all just gradient ramps and things like that.
There's a lot going on.
The thing about it is, right, you know, the like the Final Four logo, where you have a kind of central few elements around which you can then build something city specific. That'll make sense. You can tell what's happened though. They've looked at if you sort of scroll back to from when they started, they looked at the next 5 sets of numerals while there were X's and L's and V's and I's going on. They were like, oh, we can kind of make this work. And then they hit the LI era. Yeah. And it's underwhelming, isn't it? And then it's confusing because is the Lombardi trophy one of the eyes?
Sometimes it is, isn't it?
No,
I guess it's not. It's not. That is really confusing.
But it looks like it in Super Bowl LV.
LIV. definitely.
LIV, but then the one previous to that is LIV. So I don't know. I'm not a fan. I think the thing that's most interesting about the original ones is that there's almost, if there are any lemons in amongst them, they're almost all great. You know, barring the first couple, which are a bit underwhelming, they're all interesting in their own way.
They are interesting, and just to plant my flag, this is probably my favorite.
Mhm.
If I had to, just because it's so solid to me. I feel like this is from 24 years ago. I could design this logo next week, and I would feel okay about it.
I'm shocked that that's 20 something years ago. The only thing that gives it away is the Super Bowl font. I have a question for you guys. Do you think that they regret going the Roman numeral path? Because regular numerals, I don't know what the regular ones are called, they're so much more graphic and fun and memorable. And the XIIV stuff, it's just, it's really plagued the whole thing.
It has. I mean, the Roman numerals feels tougher.
Yeah.
So it sort of plays into the football.
I mean, I think it works up until you get into the L's. L's not a sexy letter.
No.
X is a sexy letter.
L is hard to work with too. Yeah.
V is an exciting letter. L.
X's are good. No, I think, Mark, you have a really good point, because when they were individually branded and so different from each other, that's how you could identify with Super Bowl, because it wasn't a 36th, it wasn't a 70 or 50 or whatever. So it's in your brain, you can't remember XXIII, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But you could remember a 36, and so by making them unique like this, that helped bridge that gap, right? To make it memorable. Many of
these patches you look at and you go, I remembered that on a jersey. I remember what two teams played because of that logo.
Yeah, and then from 2011, 2015, the only thing that changed was the stadium behind it. You know what I mean? It was just, and I think it got even worse from 17 to 21. There's nothing apart from a color. There's nothing that's going to stick in your brain about it at all. It's sad to me to see them go, because the 2005 one is, before they switched, is nice. That's a good, clean, nothing wrong with that kind of mark.
You know,
did you guys have a favorite?
You know who's co-opted this look is WWE, because essentially when you look at the highlight in here, the very best of these Super Bowl logos, that's what every pay-per-view looks like now. So they full on co-opted this look.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think it, but even I think it influenced graphic design and sports logos and graphics hugely. All you know, even beyond sports. Did you have a favorite, guys? Just off the top of your head? I know I'm just springing this on you.
I quite like that the sort of faux metal belt buckle one, XXXV 35. Quite like that one. Down to your right.
Oh
no, next one along.
Oh, this
2001.
one.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. That's pretty. That's cool. I don't know what that. Maybe that was San Antonio or something.
Something like that.
Sort of feels like that. Yeah,
Being
a lot
straight
of
edge, I'm going to take 1996 directly above it, because you can't go wrong with the triple X. Shout out to
the
Vin
triple
Diesel.
X. Yeah, that's got a great sort of like, must have been Phoenix or something.
Yeah, it has a southwestern vibe to it.
Yeah, and it's so nice when you can include these types of things in your logo. Full disclosure, Super Bowl 5 is what we base the Super Design Bowl logo off of. In case you're wondering where that crappy graphic came from. Super Design.
I like an what is it, 1980 as well, with that
you like
B that breaks the line. I like that.
Oops, can't.
Yeah,
it's got a real sort of windbreaker vibe to it, or a trucker hat kind of thing going on there.
Yeah.
What I missed though is that if you scroll down a little bit, so we can look over at 87, and I know that was in Pasadena because they've got the rolls there for the Rose Bowl. And then if we go down 2 more, 97, that was obviously New Orleans. You can tell by the Mardi Gras vibe. Like there just was sort of a souvenir of the city that it was going to be in, which that's what makes each Super Bowl so unique, is the host of the party, where it's at. And with the new just gradient look, and you know, who knows the stadium other than the fans that live in that market. It's just lost all of that speciality that it once had.
It's not special anymore.
They've tried to bring that back, haven't they, with the, you know, the illustration within the...
They're trying, but I much prefer a design to illustration in a logo. Let's put it that way. Okay, we've wasted enough time on here. We're actually on a tight schedule. Let's get to the Super Design Bowl and try to get through as many of these things as we can. Okay,
let's do it.
Let's start your clocks now. Okay, we had a Sacramento Kings Studio MLR versus Mark Burkholder. This was a close match. Mark won.
Shocked.
Shocked. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a little shocked too. But let's talk about the loser first here. Studio MLR. First impressions.
I see the lion, but it's somewhat obfuscated by the Adidas Are they whiskers? I don't understand what the kind of
well, I think it must be some sort of architectural reference.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm willing to
maybe
you on that.
That's the great thing about this. We're not talking to the designers, so we get to make up anything we want to about their logo.
Okay. Yeah, like it to me that feels like they're impinging on the cheeks. It feels like they're whiskers, and they are 3 times thicker than the little the ball, you know, the line widths inside the ball on the on the crown. I find it's a little bit awkward. If you're going to vary the line widths, have that imply level of detail or importance of things. But yeah, it's interesting.
I mean, I like the attempt of doing a diamond basketball in his crown. And I like the overall concept on this. I think it's a kind of a cool architectural way to go, and it's sort of cool looking. What do you think, Mark?
I think that it looks very Gotham. This feels like Cleveland, Ohio, like something that would be carved in the side of granite on a building or a bridge. That's not what I think about with this market. I also don't like when
question. Wait, have you been to Sacramento?
Yes.
So what is it? They don't have cool Art Deco architecture? I don't know.
It's a city that's a little bit lost in time. It does have, for California, an older vibe, being the capital. But to me, this just feels more East Coast and not Sacramento. I also don't like the way that the interior of the Kings closes up. It reminds me of screen printing when things started to bleed in on you, and you're like, "Oh, I'm losing all my space here." So,
but what's the option there? You either go all purple or all gray. Maybe you could feel that maybe it goes all purple at the top, and then you can reverse it out. Maybe, I don't know. It doesn't bother me that much, but I could see it in smaller applications being not great.
I just think it's kind of the font. I think with that font, you either go solid or you choose something different, because and you know, this is a problem that I've seen where purple and silver just is not a good color combination. That happens to be the color palette for 100th anniversaries. And the two colors tonally, there's not one that dominates the other one. So from a distance, it all just closes in on you.
It does a little bit. Purple is hard to work with.
It sucks. I think it's the worst color.
I like a lot of the stuff that they were trying to do with this logo, though. I personally like just from an aesthetic standpoint, the vibe, the feel I'm getting from it. I like the vibe.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. I like it better than the pineapple that it's sitting next to.
I like the vibe better than this, because this is a little. It's sort of
ball with a crown on it. Mate.
What?
Ball with a crown on it. Perfect.
But did you notice the SK in the ball?
I had spotted it.
Oh, that's a Milwaukee Brewers trick. I like that. Shout out to that. I like that, Mark.
This is very playful, very fun, a little kind of wild style-y, a little bit. little.
The crown combined with the purple feels a little bit Mardi Gras. If you're
well, I mean, purple is the color of royalty. That's why they're the kings.
It is, but isn't silver the color of, like, if you're gonna have a crown and you've got two colors, wouldn't you make it the metallic color?
The crown? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, I'll make it silver.
What do you think of this? Would you? I don't know if I would, but there's a weird thing happening here, right? So you have the curve of this crown, boom, and then you have the curve, and then you got a curve in the ball. Would it be better, or would it be worse to have that curve be smooth, or to offset the crown? Because if it was smooth, you might be creating a weird shape. So you might be better off just moving this crown down so that it doesn't create this weird
dent that's in there.
Yeah,
it's too close for it not to align.
Yeah,
so you got to make it align.
Yeah, that's one of. What do you think about? So when you're squishing a ball, Frasier, you know this, a man of animation. When you're squishing the ball, you've got you're showing motion, right?
Oh yeah. This ball's moving fast to the right.
Thank you.
Yeah?
I feel like the squish of the ball. I feel like the ball is going to start talking to me any second now.
Oh yeah, like mascotty.
Right? Yeah. If you put legs on this, I think you got a winner.
To me, it feels like a shoulder patch on a Phil's Coffee hockey jersey that they would sell as merchandise. Like this pineapple feels like it has something to do with the band that just opened up for 311. Like that's just the wheelhouse that I feel like it's in.
Yeah, but you know what? It won. So
hey, congratulations! A win's a win. You got to take them all.
Job. Yeah. Who knows how many times your grandma voted for you? Okay. Next one, Golden State Warriors. This was an interesting matchup. I personally feel like the current Golden State logo is one of the worst logos in all of sportsdom. So David Jensen versus Ethan Manning. Interesting matchup. Interesting ideas. David is the big loser. Let's talk about his logo, which I think is such an interesting take idea on it. I'll speak from my heart first. Obviously there's a big Chinatown represented in San Francisco. And so he's like, well, a warrior in San Francisco might be really well represented by this is sort of a Japanese samurai mask. I'm sorry if I don't know the proper terminology, which I think is a very interesting idea to do. That would probably only work for San Francisco, unless, of course, you're in Japan or China or something. And the inclusion of the ball into the helmet. I might. There's a lot. I don't love all of the negative spaces that the type is creating.
Yeah,
and like how are the overlays? Like if you got this yellow outline, maybe thicken it up and have that yellow go all the way around.
Yeah, and the second R should tuck behind the first R like it does with the A and the R before it.
Yeah, there's just some,
and the other R on the far right.
Yeah, but conceptually it's interesting. What do you think?
The thing that immediately jumps at me is, why is the word Golden State literally the part of the logo that contains the word gold? Why is it the only part of the logo that is inexplicably lilac?
It's interesting. It's the only place that they're using that blue.
Yeah,
it's an interesting choice.
It's a strong choice. It demands acknowledgement.
It does. So what could you do? You could outline everything in that blue, a big fat outline. What?
You can make it gold, just get rid of it.
Or you can make it gold. I think it's a great idea. I think you make it your darkest gold, so that it has less value change from the navy.
I think that the illustration is very solid. I like the symmetry on it. I love how the lines taper on the ball to show like speed and momentum and force and perspective.
Yeah.
I think the Warriors logo could be good with a little fine tuning and obviously adjusting the colors on Golden State. But I feel like what David's made here is a great t-shirt. This thing's going to rip on merch sales, but it's not a logo. It's too complex. I feel like the whole postage stamp billboard rule has been thrown out the window. And I think that he made amazing merch, but not a real successful logo.
Yeah. Here's a tip to future contestants. Combining the image with the word you're almost always losing. Just if you might have won if it was just the face and you leave the type off of there. It's just it makes it a much easier competition. And then because people can use their imagination on what the letters are going to look like.
One last thing, like the tips of the W are so sharp that the key lines necessarily come way out beyond where they need to. I mean, you could chamfer that down, couldn't you? And that W that you've got, I think, would A, be more legible, and B, just not offset the kind of balance of the piece.
Yeah, that wasn't really coming out. That wasn't bothering me too much. But I think you could add some bits to the S to fill that in because it gets so open over there. Warriors. This is interesting because it's really just sort of an improvement, which I totally appreciate. It's sort of a cleanup job on their current logo in many respects, and I think it's a nod to their old logo. Let's go to the computer and look it up real fast.
While you're looking this up, I'm going to just say out of the gate, I feel like it's way complicated. The state is not jiving with the ball lines.
Yeah. So that's their current logo.
Yeah, it's horrible.
It's just it's awful. Logo history, which I'm sort of into. So he's sort of doing an update on the 70-80s one, right? And sort of trying to match it to sort of like a cross between the current and that one, which I think is a really interesting idea.
I think it works. There's just a few little like fiddly bits, just to just by the peak of the star. There's that tiny little sliver that's bothering me.
A little sliver right there.
You would have it so that the state is contiguous and isn't bisected by the key line of the star as well. That serves to undo where you're talking about. But what I do like is I like the uniform width stroke of the type as compared to the old thing that kind of matches the stroke width within the within the rest of the piece, which is fairly uniform. So I quite like that.
I if it were me, I would have gotten rid of these serifs.
Defo.
Just do like a retro athletic typeface. I think it's just doing too much. Like these serifs don't really relate to anything else in the logo.
Or you could put some serifs on the state and the star.
Yeah. I kind of hate this little spot.
Yeah.
Because how it hits it in an uneven way. Like if you lifted the star up just a little bit, it would fill in that gap and it would bisect the corner perfectly. And maybe those little touches. Or maybe would you guys be into the idea? Could I interest you guys in a different colored star? Or would that be too messy?
Might be a bit much. I don't know. You could possibly, rather than have the stars go to a point, I'm talking out of turn probably, but maybe not extend the point out, so you just keep the integrity of the state shape a bit better. Nah, put a serif on the state. Put a serif
on the state. Then you're back to Mark's point. I wonder if there's a way to better incorporate the state in the ball, like to take this vertical from the state and move it so it's the vertical of the ball, and to get it really more linked up, synced up. Easier said than done.
I feel like this logo is missing a night's sleep. You know how you You get to the end of a work day and you go, all right, I've done enough for today. I'll look at it tomorrow with fresh eyes. I feel like with fresh eyes, you just kind of move some of these bits and pieces around. And states are weird because they have odd shapes that are dictated by wars, rivers, oceans. But when you're a designer, you can make that state work a little bit more into your shape. We don't need to see I don't need to see the cut for Long Beach. I realize that's where I live. I don't need to see it in the map. So I feel like a little bit too literal. Shout out to Snoop.
Can I just say, though, it's still light years. I would take it over this. I would take it over this thing any day of the week.
By far.
Okay, because I don't know.
You know what? There's a nice space for a star in that logo, though, isn't there?
There really is. Well, didn't they put like the numbers there on some of the jerseys or something? I don't know. You would think I'd know what I was talking about.
I mean, I do like that he has the type working more in the circle versus the other one that we saw. So it's definitely a glow up.
Totally agree. Okay, next one, the Lehigh Valley Phantoms. This is a minor league hockey team. The Phantoms are, I'm going to look this up for you.
This sounds like one of those places where they try and teach creationism to children. Or something. Is that right?
I think it's in like Pennsylvania. Maybe.
Right. It's like named after a faux biblical place or something like that.
I don't know about that. So a good version of the logo. So they're affiliated with the Flyers, so hence the orange
and the sort of wing things.
And I would say Flyers' best NHL logo. It's amazing as far as sports branding goes.
Look at this. They even have a history of this thing. Okay, so this is the current thing. What's really interesting about this is these little purple blue marks on it. You probably can't see that.
Oh yeah, I can barely see them.
Yeah. It's a very interesting thing. And I don't know they've got like a roughin on the type, which is so weird.
In spots.
Not
on the P, but on the S. It starts out smooth and then it breaks apart.
Yeah. So strange. They used to be the Adirondack Phantoms, which is much cooler. Original logo, more scary. Okay. So that's what we're dealing with. Why did these fellas pick this? Jason Karn, Daniel Gerwin, both excellent designers. Jason won, so let's talk to the loser, Daniel, Lehigh Valley Phantom. So he did an update, which is nice. In the current logo, bigger mascot head, whatever you want to call it, bigger phantom face, smaller phantom face. There are some things I like about this. I like his O just because it's so interesting.
Yeah.
And I think his S is actually pretty nice, and it pairs well with his P. This is some custom lettering going on here. I kind of wish that the phantom head was like more incorporated into the wisps. Like if the wisps could like go into the head and like make it more of a container up there. I don't know. Yeah.
Are the wisps, tell me, like, are the wisps, is he sort of gathering up the puck? Are they arms? Are they shoulders and kind of
I think it's just more phantomy. Woo. Yeah.
It feels very Haunted Mansion to me, so shout out. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I've never been to Lehigh, obviously, so I don't know exactly what the Phantom looks like. But
no, he's talking about Disney because he has to put Disney into something.
It feels like the Haunted Mansion.
Sure.
I think that this is where digital design does you a disservice. And by the way, this is tremendously better. Both of these gentlemen are winners because this is way better than what they currently have.
Yeah.
However, when you're sitting in front of your fancy monitor and you're really staring at things and you want to show off your chops, this could be simplified. This is a really good 1 to 2 color logo, but all the strokes and doing this on that font and over here on this type, doing something different, like break this down to 1 or 2 colors and you have a winner. It's been overcomplicated because you're sitting there staring at it going, I feel like it's missing something. Like the puck doesn't need the white in it. The white in the puck should be black.
I think so.
and then it would read more as a puck. You don't need the strokes around the lettering. It's great custom lettering. Go with one color, show confidence.
Yeah, I think the Lehigh, get rid of the stroke on it. Stuff like that. I agree. But not bad. Not bad at all. This is
Did
the
a good
winner.
job too of incorporating the Flyers notches in his typography.
Yeah, agreed. So now we got Jason Karn over here with a different take on the Phantom, more of a Jason Friday the 13th kind of thing going on here. But I like he's got I guess it's more of a Grim Reaper because he's got the sickle turning into a hockey stick with some dimensional type and a hockey mask. It's good stuff. I think if I had any critique of it, which I will always have, I think I would make the eyes on the mask scarier. They're right now they should be. If it were me, I would angle them down, make them a little intimidating. This is sports we're talking about. I do think it's interesting how much detail he put in the flames, because normally you do flame. What's that?
A lot of flames, but also gray flames.
Well,
I see that a lot of gray.
Maybe that's sort of a phantomy vibe with the gray flame.
Yeah, it's like they're not hot.
Smoke.
Sort of like a creepy cold fire.
Yeah. If it were me, my idea, if I wanted to do a flame, I would make the flames more graphic and make them into a bigger shape, and it would sort of hold the whole thing. Not saying that's better or worse, but I think this is a very interesting sort of way to approach it.
Yeah, I mean, if it were me, I think I would, rather than actually illustrate the sickle pucks, which I think are a nice idea, I think that whole element could be solid, extenuous to the key line. So you've got the key line, thicken that up a bit, and then have the puck scythe shape kind of sit as part of that. Maybe on fire as well. But I don't think it needs all the intricate illustration. I think you get a little bit lost, especially in kind of the highlights on the top of the hockey sticks and things. Just gets a little bit muddy for me. But I think
sorry.
I
think when you're doing a competition, you kind of like want to put in all the detail.
Yes.
Because you're like, oh man, I gotta put on all the bells and whistles. I wonder what this would have looked like if, we got this gray outline around the type. I wonder if that gray outline would have got moved to the back with the flames, so that there's no gray outline between Phantom and type. It's just a black, like it all becomes part of this illustration, right? Instead of having this sort of dimension.
The other thing is he's got black as the shadow color, but if you look underneath where the cross sticks cross the body, he's used just a darker purple.
I don't think. Yeah,
just
make that black. Yeah, I think you make that black. I do like his O.
It's like a lantern.
It's like a lantern, but it also graphically fills that space really nice.
Yeah, it does.
And the way that the stroke on the A to the H is really nice too.
Yeah. I feel like the type of it looks like a really great 90s sports logo. I feel like it looks good, but once again, I feel like I'm looking at a t-shirt and not at a logo. And with the stroke around Lehigh Valley Phantoms, it does feel like a sticker. Like that's the logo that was placed on this t-shirt design. It's a way overcomplicated once again.
Yeah.
Okay. But as we know in the details war that we've been fighting since 2005, Mark,
we've been in that war together.
Yeah, that people like details. Cool. Congratulations and thank you very much to Jason and Daniel for
good job, guys. Definitely an improvement.
Super Design Bowl. Okay, this next one is really interesting because we kind of let two fellas, or at least one of the fellas that Steve, and I'm sorry about your last name, Steve, Krasnewski, and Landon Early did another minor league hockey team, the Munsters, what the fuck? Cleveland Monsters. Fucking Cleveland.
Just not even trying monsters. Just call the team Monsters.
Cleveland Monsters. And well, maybe there's like a cryptoid in Cleveland that, like, you know what I'm saying? The Cleveland Monsters actually just redid their logo.
Why would you come from Cleveland and play up the fucking poisoned lake angle? You know?
Like, they have a poisoned lake?
Yeah, like it's, they fill it full of balloons and then sometimes it's on fire.
Dude.
And
that balloon documentary is it is the best 7-minute movie that was ever made.
Okay, so here's the current Cleveland Monsters branding. So let's check this out. So what's interesting about Steve is not a designer. So, but he wanted to give his hand at it and was like, go for it. Steve is like, he's an illustrator who does like lots of scary horror themed illustrations.
He's a metal guy.
Metal guy. Yeah, totally.
Steve is a large language model. And he input the prompts and out comes this.
I think what he was attempting to do here is a cool idea. First of all, I like the idea of doing sort of a creature feature take on this, right? Do you know what I'm saying, Mark? Like, the Saturday morning Svengoolie like logo,
right.
I think could be really cool for a minor league hockey team. Taking that idea and sort of running with it. If I were Steve, I would think about how I could incorporate this. It's sort of a creature from the Black Lagoon kind of Kraken thing. I don't know. How could I incorporate it into the logo, Mark? Right? Like, how could I have them feel like a unit? And
you take the illustration and you left justify it, and then you have monsters coming off like the side, neck fat or whatever, and then Cleveland runs the entire length of the whole thing. So then now it's just one long strand, and you do that Frank Faguli look that you're going for, and you just keep it in that space.
And
then you're set.
And you kind of curve it in the same way that the neck is going or whatever.
Yeah.
And then you have motion to it.
Now, is the illustration, is that a head of a bigger creature, or is that the entire creature?
That's just the head, brother. You have no idea what's lurking under the dark waters of Cleveland.
Yeah, or maybe it's got little tiny legs. Maybe it's like the
I don't know. I think that's his little tail, and it just kind of comes at you.
An aggressive amoeba? Is that what you're seeing?
Like a one of them little like lanternfish thing, anglerfish thing.
Yeah.
What I like most about this is the extreme juxtaposition of the handmade monsters font with what almost could only be better if it were typed in Arial Cleveland.
Yeah.
That's my favorite part of this. Is that Cleveland feels like he did the logo, showed it to a bunch of people, and just before he sent it to you, somebody said, "Oh, where are they from?" And he went, "Fuck," and then wrote Cleveland. It feels like the other two. Go on.
I'd agree with that. And the winner, Landon early. Ely early. He's early. I like what he's trying to do here, and he's really kind of doing a take and an update on this sort of creature coming out of the lake, I guess, in sort of a fun way. It definitely has like sort of a sticker vibe,
right?
I like the M.
I didn't get the M.
Yeah, it's a very Mario M. That looks very similar to the Mario M that Nintendo uses a lot.
I
like it.
I wonder if he's put that sort of divide down the middle so that you almost read one half of the lips as a C. I might be pushing that too far there, but I think there's a case to be made for a C there.
I think that's carrying a lot of water there. all this could really need is if it just said Cleveland and Arial over the top of it. Yeah. Then it would be really good.
See, he didn't show this to his friend before he sent it in. So nobody was like, hey, man, you got to put Cleveland on there.
Or he did. And he's like, I don't want to talk about it.
I ain't got time. It's free.
Yeah. Seriously.
Let me ask you guys this. I mean, obviously, we're older guys. And
speak for yourself.
We come from a time. I remember when you and I had a bet on our hairlines, and I feel like I'm still winning that bet. I feel like we come from a time where logos didn't have the ability to have unlimited colors.
Yeah.
So the fact that we have a shadow doing the split shade on this face to add a little depth and dimension, that's cool. And once again, looking at it on your big shiny monitor. But when this goes out to screen printers or embroidery, we've now just made this logo twice as difficult and twice as expensive. What happened to just minimal 2-color, 1-color logos? Does that exist anymore?
It does, but not for people in the Super Design Bowl.
There are no rules in this bowl.
Prison rules.
Yeah, we actually talked about that in the last show about how the rules for logos were because you had to fax it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, can this work as a 1-color fax? I mean, obviously, I think you could see this and say I could do a 1-color version of this if I had to.
Right.
But yeah, I agree. It's always easier as a designer to work basic and get complicated. You know what I'm saying? Like, do the 1-2-color version first, and then figure out how you're going to add color to it. That's a hot tip for you kids out there.
Well, and the reverse on that too is that when you show your client the gloss model, and then they get the embroidered patch that's going to go on the jersey, and it's the base model, they're like, there's a lot of magic that's missing here. So you're setting yourself up for bad expectations.
Yeah, that's an interesting way to put it. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you, Steve and Landon. This is a really interesting challenge. Houston Texans. I think this is good for us to leave this. Houston Texans logo.
What a non-NFL team. The Texans, like, if I see that that's the Monday night or Sunday night game, I'm like, yawn. I just have they're just some NFL franchises that just you have no vibe for. I put them right next to Jacksonville. They're just like, who cares?
Yeah.
Do you feel like if the Texans had adopted the Oilers colors straight out, that
I'm back in, baby.
It'd
feel more nostalgic. I mean, just the Texans, like, this looks like a place that, Texans Steakhouse, home of the 18-ounce ribeye. Don't forget them taters. Like, that's just what it reads to me. But putting a fucking oil rig on your helmet is so stupid that it touches cool.
Oh, but
sure,
even
it's like the Browns logo.
Even if rather than the navy blue, they'd taken on the pale blue, and I like this logo. I think it's a great logo, but it's something about you play. I get why they play indoors, but I feel like if you play in the South and it's fucking boiling hot all the time, you should play in, like, a color that isn't dark blue for the sake of selling T-shirts that go with jeans. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah,
but this came out in 2000. Sorry, Mark. When every team, the Rams, you name it, was doing a navy. They're doing a dark. It was all about, okay, let's get rid of our pop colors from the 90s and the 80s, and we're making serious tough colors. And so this is like from tough color era.
But you have to think about, you need to differentiate yourself from the competition. So you're in Texas, so you're already getting a split of who Texans are going to root for. And the Dallas Cowboys are what? America's team. And then you go with a red, white, and blue logo.
Star logo. Star.
You're already kind of like competing with the big show in town.
Yeah.
Here's what the Cowboys have going for them. They're absolutely hateable, right? They are just the heel. They come out to the ring like the Iron Sheik, and everybody boos them and hates them. And so the Texans really needed to go in a different direction, not live in the shadow of the supervillain that is Jerry Jones' fucking Dallas Cowboys.
This was I agreed. This was also the era of 9/11, where everything was fucking patriotic too, which I think probably played into it. Okay, so here's This was an interesting logo matchup. Forrest Williams versus Kyle Peck. Forrest, the big loser here. What's interesting about Forrest, if you go to his website, he kind of does a lot of logos that look just like this sort of this layout.
It looks like a fucking headstone, man. It's like never forget the Houston Texans. R.I.P. Lil Tex.
That's I didn't think about that, but you're right. Maybe he's just secret goth. A couple of things strike me about this logo, which feels honestly more like a merchandise kind of thing, right? Because you're putting a lot of information on this. NFL, AFC, Tex, USA, Texans, Houston. The two things strike me. So he's using this typeface, which I don't hate this typeface.
No,
right? It's got all these rounded edges, got some nice vibe to it. But if you're gonna go with a typeface like this, you should really make the rest of your graphics match, right? So you've got warm and stamped outlook and type, but then you've got sharp edges everywhere. You got sharp horns. You got sharp connections here and here. Like, if you're gonna do this, just make everything look this, and I think you're going to have a better vibe. And you guys tell me if you think this was a mistake or not. And you might not be able to see it on your screen, but the navy blue, there's navy blue in the bull and stuff, but his nose and his eyes and the outline around the tombstone is black.
Yeah.
They're almost the same color.
Yeah. The thing I like about this is the shape of the head itself really works and is like,
agreed.
You know, and then it's completely undone by the tombstone outline that is almost too wide. I mean, you could at least it's too wide because the word Houston doesn't quite fill out the radius that is implied by the black key line there.
Yeah.
So I think you could kind of completely tighten this up by leaving out, they're the Texans. The clue's in the name. You don't need to write that they're in Texas. And if you, and then in the USA, and I don't think you need all that other kind of superfluous stuff. And I think without those bits, just kind of you could make that type really, fit around a kind of much more dynamic shape.
Yeah, I think you could. Sorry, Mark. If you followed this, I'm pointing at my finger like you guys can see my fucking. Okay, so you got this nice. What is working is this curve from the Houston to the horns, and you're creating this nice flow, right? If you take that flow from the curve and then maybe curve this part, his bandana part, so it like creates this sort of upside down teardrop shape, and like sort of flows into that. Like, for instance, like this one, see how this thing flows?
Yeah.
And they kind of go like if you float it like this to create a nice unified clean shape, I think it could be really cool. And then maybe just change Houston to Texans and get rid of the tombstone and everything else, and boom, you're done. Yeah.
Lots of good parts. I agree with you that the design story is off because stamped and not stamped, texture should be applied as a story that runs through the entire story that you're trying to tell. Yeah. But I would say that I would definitely eat at this restaurant, but not root for this team because I feel like if I open up the tombstone on the next page, there's like Wild Bills, like applesauce fritters, on the very next page.
Yeah. Okay, Mark, you got to leave in like 4 minutes. So we got, we can talk about this in 4 minutes, or we can just shoot the shit for 4 more minutes.
It is up to you, sir.
Oh shit.
We can do the other Texans logo.
Yeah, we got to do the other
Texans fuck. Logo. Okay. We got 4 minutes to do this one. Okay. This one won. Kyle, congratulations to you, Kyle. Interesting idea. My first question is, why is the Lone Ranger riding a bull?
Why is his bandana not covering his nose? That's not how you wear them.
No, that's because that's the Lone Ranger.
Yeah, is it a face mask or a bandana?
I have a feeling that Frasier doesn't know who the Lone Ranger is.
I know who the Lone Ranger is, but
I don't think you know who the Lone Ranger is.
See his nose.
Yeah, but where's his mouth?
That's the
then?
Lone Ranger.
Yeah, he's got a mouth.
He's got a
Go
mouth.
back.
He's got a. Oh, you're saying?
I'm saying that's a.
I think he just forgot to draw the mouth.
But definitely went out of his way to show you where the flag is tied onto the pole.
Yeah. Is it the? Can flags be backwards? I think of the flag being the other way around.
Flag backwards means distress.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. We're sort of looking at two angles of the bull as well, aren't we? Like, very much
this is my big question.
Camera.
Did he turn the hips of the bull so he didn't have to so he could have that hoof cover up his dick, his penis, right? Because if you do it full on side, you have to. You don't have to, but then you're seeing bullcock, right?
Yeah.
Where the spine is at on this bull because of that curvature, this cowboy is about ready to fall off the backside of the bull.
And listen, doing an illustration like this, aka logo, not easy.
No.
Okay? He really bit off a lot here, and it's tough. I like a lot of what the ideas that are happening here. It's just the execution is I hate to be a jerk, but like I can see he spent a lot of time with this, but it's just not quite coming together.
So I think it kind of if you remove both key lines, right, the white and then the outer blue, then you've got something that looks more like a bit more of an old-fashioned kind of logo, one of those ones that was hand-drawn originally and then vectored. And I think that could work better than the double key thing that just sort of draws attention away from the interior illustration.
He got really happy with the outlines. The quick tip to all you kids out there: when your type creates these little negative spots.
Yep.
You got that? Like there's even one here in the W and there's one here in the N. Just fill those in. Just fill those in. You'll be good. And also when you're doing outline on outline, make them the same weight, right?
Yeah.
Like this white is thicker than this white. Not that we're like loving the outlines, but if you're going to do outlines, make your blue the same as this blue thickness, right? Because this is like 8 points and this is 5 points.
If this was placed on my desk, I would say, okay, I like the idea, but this is what I would want. Let's keep profile. Let's keep the bull in the same profile that our cowboy's in and bring around the hips and just keep it nice and flat in profile. Think Buffalo Bills. Looks great on the side of a helmet.
That's what I'm thinking.
Let's lose all the strokes and let's just put a little bit more emotion into our H-town. And if we're going to use a star, let's find a way to give it purpose so that it resonates and it should be there. And then I would also go do a quick Google and be like, is this flag backwards? Should we scrap the whole logo because we're saying our team is in distress?
Yeah, or just flip the logo, I guess.
Because they were 16-1 last year, so they were definitely in distress.
They were definitely in distress. This also using H-Town is definitely more of a merch.
Yeah.
Instead of a primary logo. And we don't give any rules. A logo for merch is fine. Whatever you want to do. But most importantly, we appreciate you for participating and for letting us harshly critique all your hard work. And we're sorry. Or I am at least. Okay. Congratulations to Kyle. Mark has to go.
Is this the last one, the 76ers? Because we can rip it fast if it's you got two more?
Well, no, this one's you know what? We're gonna hold off on these because voting is still live.
I
don't want to influence. I don't want to influence people.
No. We don't want to do that.
There's a lot to talk about with these though, and which I would love to get into. We've kind of been putting these review shows out regularly because we had a lot to get caught up with.
Yeah.
But now that we're caught up, I'm assuming they're going to be less frequent. Or I could have them every 2 weeks still. We talk about one matchup and we just talk about BS. I don't know. Who knows what we're going to do? Write in the comments or not. And tell me what.
Don't write in the comments. This is a secret. Don't.
Well, you can write in the comments. Just
okay.
It's.
But do they need a decoder ring to write in the comments to keep it a secret?
That's a great idea.
Fireplace.
I like that idea.
Scream it into a pillow.
Yeah. Thank you guys for for showing up. And Mark, I'm hopefully this goes over well with the AID fans.
Billy, it was so much fun recording with you again. It was a great time. It was awesome.
It was okay. I mean, let's not get into it.
There he is.
No, I really appreciate it, guys.
Yeah, this was fun. I'd love to do this again.
Yeah, please. It makes my job easier. If you want to, just reminder, if you want to participate and let jerks like us overly critique your logos, just go to the apply page on the Super Design Bowl and send us your portfolio, and we will use you and abuse you.
Do you say no ever?
No.
Has anybody submitted that didn't get picked?
Probably.
Okay.
Because maybe we can't find a good matchup.
Got it.
But that's a longer topic that we can get into at some other point. Yeah. No, I mean, we've had some people they submit and they're like a week later, like, hey, how come I haven't been matched up? And it's like, well, we've got like 25 people waiting to get matched up. This is
a big operation.
We've got
a lot going on. We've got a lot going on.
Like, just hold on. We'll find you a good matchup. Yeah. Most of all, I just really appreciate anybody who does participate.
Oh, for sure.
Whether or not we shit on their logo or not, which is not fun.
No, it's really cool. They're really good to see, and I think in every case you can see that people have tried really hard and thought about it, and
yeah, so absolutely. Okay, fellas, this is where we're gonna call it quits, and here's the ending. Thanks.